Hello, Widowhood. Our conversation today is with Mr. Atul Patel. He is a heartfulness trainer. I think this conversation will be very helpful for you as different people are struggling with depression. Different people are struggling with confusion and anxiety and anger. Having an opportunity to learn how to work through all these different feelings in your body may prove helpful and be a very good coping skill. Learning the landscape of your inner body and being able to use that in a way to honor our loved ones and the gift of being able to live for them or for ourselves, this may prove helpful for you. Let's get into the discussion now.
Many people talk about the ups and downs of married life, but no one really prepares you for life after your spouse passes away. Welcome to Widowhood Real Talk with Tina, a safe place for widows, widowers, and their friends and family to talk about love and loss. Find comfort as you listen to honest conversations between Tina and invited guests who've experienced the loss of their forever partner. Share their stories of love, grief, and healing. You are not alone in this journey. Join today's episode and discover a wealth of resources and learn how to connect with others who are traveling the same path. This is Widowhood Real Talk with Tina.
Hello, Widowhood, and welcome to this episode with Mr. Atul Patel, a heartfulness leader. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, Tina. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me here.
So Atul became connected to me because as we go through this journey of grief, I know that there's not just one way to deal with it. And everyone has a different concept of this. And a lot of things happen with the body as you go through grief. And a very good friend of mine, Ramesh, connected me to him. And the information that he will share with us, I think you will find helpful. We live in a body that I know that we don't always know so much about how it works. And to be able to connect with other people and get a better perspective of the body that we live in and how grief impacts our body and our energy is something that we often don't look into because we live lives in our own little spectrum. But to be able to reach and connect and find value in what other people have to share, right now we're at a point in our life where we are open to hear things we may have never looked at before, but realize that it's an opportunity to be able to learn. And he has something for us to learn.
Thank you, Tina. It was nice welcoming message. And I'm really happy to be with you. And I would rather say I'm honored and to get this opportunity to share what we have to share in terms of what heartfulness can offer. Losing a loved one and getting through that experience is very central, and every one of us goes through at some point. Our loved one, the people around us, especially our life partners, are central to our existence. And losing them or suddenly not having them part of our life creates a huge vacuum, and we get bewildered how to handle that. And you mentioned something about our bodies. Most of our experience in this world is through our body, our eyes, our senses, our relationship is a major part through which we connect with each other, also through body, and understand each other, listen to each other, and try to acknowledge the feeling of love and compassion for each other. Now, when this happens, when we suddenly don't have our loved ones around us, our body does get confused. We don't know what to do. We feel the lack of energy. We feel the lack of purpose in our life. And if this experience happens in a traumatized way, then it creates even much more tragical impact on ourselves. Unfortunately, what happens is many of us, as we have gone through this experience, we repeat this experience mentally again and again. When we go through that experience mentally again, we are in a sense reliving that experience and the sadness, the grief, which it has affected us. Our brain, in a sense, reproduces those chemicals and it tries to help us to cope up with it, but in a sense we are actually reliving that experience and having those chemicals produced. It actually creates a domino effect and makes us even intensify that experience. Now the question comes up, how do we make that experience, for a lack of better word, the space or the grief which is created in our heart, how do we transcend it? How do we handle that so that we make this experience and express the love for our loved ones in a much more transcending manner?
That is an excellent question because you mentioned one, if it's in a trauma situation, and then instantly the idea is to continually play it back over and over in your mind. And neither of those things do we really have control over. We don't have a control over the way our loved one passes. It increases the trauma and that shock that happens when a loved one passes, whether they have been sick for years and you know that their passing is intimate, or if it's a car accident and someone knocks on your door, that instant shock of knowing that your loved one is no longer here, the brain is struggling, the body is trying to make sense of the world that keeps going on, and you're right there. Yes, that is crucial to understand how to manage that.
Correct. And the body gets in the shock mode. The brain doesn't know how to handle. And all of a sudden, we in the mental plane, we're trying to figure out some way, some life which was something fulfilling, something which was meaningful or purposeful with our loved one, that relationship, that experience we were going through. Now there is a dead end. There is a stop. And we don't know what to do. We don't know how to make sense of it. We don't know how to um, how to go to the next level. And that's where the yogic practices or heartfulness meditation comes in very uh, handy in terms of, if you look at it this way, it could be a life-changing moment, also a life-changing experience, because when we understand the concept of how our mind and our body are responding to the experience we go through in the worldly affair, and how this emotional experience is affecting our body, affecting us, then we somehow come up and appreciate the framework, which I'm going to share with you guys, in where meditation and in the techniques of cleansing, which heartfulness has been sharing, plays a role, and how can we make better use of it so that we can continue with our life journey and have it in a more fulfilling or towards, so to say.
I know you
Um,
have a very extensive presentation. Before we get into that, I have a few questions.
sure.
How did you get into heartfulness?
So I started Heartfulness when I was in college, first year of my college, and I was uh, spending a lot of time and reading the literature about yoga, meditation. It was somewhere around 92. I and my one of my neighbor saw me, and he said, "If you're interested into this meditation, why are you reading book? Why don't you take a practical approach and practice something? I'll take you to a trainer." So he took me to the trainer, and he said, let's practice. And he gave me a couple of sessions, meditation session, one-on-one, and we call it an individual sittings. And so I took 3 4 sessions with him, and he said continue practicing, and I used to go him once a week. So we used to have one-on-one session once a week. And as I started practicing, I started realizing, seeing the change in myself. And since I was in college, we had exams, stress, a lot of things happening. But after some time of experience, I realized that there's something in me changing, and there's something in changing. And then I started reading literature. That's when I realized this is the path I want to continue. I want to practice this going further because it's experiential, it's practical, and it's more and more tangible experience, and I can you transform myself through the practices.
Thank
So
you.
that's how I got into it, and I'm still here.
And do you connect with other people in sharing this as a trainer? What does that look like versus someone that's not? And how many people do you train? How does that work?
As a trainer, so I became trainer somewhere around 2008. And in Heartfulness, we have this beautiful technique of meditation. Along with it, it's called cleansing. It helps us to remove the inner emotional traumas, emotional experiences, or difficult emotions. And so as a trainer, I schedule the sessions, one-on-one session with individuals, those who sign up for personal trainer. So kind of providing personalized sessions and one-on-one. And then I also do a group session. So we have a meditation center in Richmond, Virginia. We have a meditation center in several parts of the country, but I mainly focus on Richmond, Virginia, where I'm located. So we do conduct group sessions. We conduct workshops on different topics of yoga, meditation, and so that's my role. But in addition to that, Heartfulness has a unique technique of yogic transmission, um, which allows um, the mind, um, when we meditate, to easily regulate itself. And most of us, and especially in this situation where your mind is going haywire and bewildered, if you ask a person to meditate, he will not be, or he or she cannot, because it's so, we grapple with the sadness, grapple with the frustrations, and we get into this mode where we don't have control of ourselves and we don't know what we're doing. So this is where Heartfulness sets apart itself a very in a unique way, because um, we have two things happening to us. One is the setback, and in this context, if we look at it, it creates a shock in our body, shock in our mind, emotional level. We are completely, in a different plane, and in the lowest level of our emotional experience. And in that situation, we are not able to use our mental functions also properly. We cannot sit and think straight, because we have so many things in our head. And this is where a trainer's role comes into picture, where a trainer would meditate with you. He would be able to um, transmit the higher energy so that you are able to balance yourself very quickly. You are able to meditate slowly, progressively, and he is also able to remove the negative emotional effect from your system. So that is what I do as a trainer. So when I meditate or introduce someone, I help not only transmit but also remove the emotional experience, emotional memories which are associated with those um, experience. In this case, it is a loss of loved one or anything else. um, so that helps us to clear the space so that we can kind of put things in perspective and then transcend that experience what we are going through. So that is a big role we play as a trainer in Heartfulness, which you don't see it in any other system. At least I haven't seen it, where somebody spends hours and hours and meditates with you so that you are able to um, you come up to level. And at this point, I'm still myself as a trainer. I go out to another trainer and they meditate and they give me a session. So it's not like there's never ending to it, because you can continue to expand your consciousness as long as you can.
That's good. I was going to ask you that question because you're taking all that in. You have to have somebody to help you. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear that is a progression. What is the path to become a trainer?
So to become a trainer, the best thing is, the only thing you need is to have a willingness to serve our fellow being and human beings around us. And the way we encourage everyone is to first practice yourself, intensify your own practice, and become an example or role model for others and how you have um, been progressing. And then when your heart calls you that I have benefited so much, I want to serve and help others, and as a trainer. And then there's a training process we have. It takes about 2 years of intense training. You study the fundamentals and you do a practice, and we have a training process where uh, once that's completed, you become a trainer.
Thank you. Two more questions and we'll get into the brief.
Sure.
Is heartfulness connected to a particular religious faith or is it something independent?
No, Heartfulness is has nothing to do with religion. It falls into more of a category, or a next level. It's called a spirituality, and many many people nowadays talk about spirituality, and it has to do with the personal practice. It's individualized. So when you look at in the context of religion and spirituality, you ask a very good question. One of the things which always attracted me to Heartfulness is the founder of Heartfulness has said religion is a very valuable thing. It's very important. It gives us the fundamental or foundation um, of what is right, what is wrong. It gives us the idea and concept of God or even higher entity. Say even if we don't use the word God, let's say higher entity or creator or Allah or Jesus or whatever. But the point is, the religion gives us the foundation and fundamental value. Kind of like what we go to elementary school and we learn how to read and write and everything. Um, then what is at when you transcend the religion, that when religion ends, spirituality begins. And when spirituality ends, the reality begins. And when reality ends, the real bliss begins. So there is continuous progression into our we as a human being, into our life, into how we approach the higher and higher level. That doesn't mean I'm going to leave my religion. If I'm in elementary school and I'm transcending, going to a middle school or high school, I'm not quitting my elementary school. It's not like I'm abandoning it. I always say I belong to this school, right? We feel proud when we go to college, and I say, "Oh, this VCU or Virginia Tech, this is my college." I always have that association. I never leave that. But I also have to go to the another level, and I had to go to the next level. So in our life experiences, spirituality is where heartfulness takes us to, and then continue. Heartfulness has a progressive pathway all the way towards bliss and higher levels. So I hope that answers.
It did. Thank you. If I am interested in heartfulness, how would I connect with you, or how would I find out to be able
Yeah,
to work with you?
if you are interested in heartfulness, very simple. You can, if you are listening to this podcast, you can send an email to you or me, and I'll connect with the trainer. I
Okay.
got many trainers in the East Coast. I'll be happy to assign a personal trainer. We do have a mobile app where you can download called Heartfulness, and in that also you can digitally connect if you're not here in this country. There are places throughout the world. There is a URL called heartspot.heartfulness.org, and you can connect the local trainer using that link. You can find the closest trainers around your area throughout the world, and they will connect with you. They'll reach out to you and schedule sessions.
Thank you for mentioning that, because the podcast right now is in 11 different countries. So there are people listening around the world, and that gives them some place to connect. And as Atul said, we'll have that information in the notes of the podcast. And if you look on the blog of the website, you can email him directly or go to the website. I am not going to hold you up any longer. Let's get into it. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we were wanting to piggyback on the conversation about the transcending and the experience about the loss of loved one, and I I'm sure many of you can resonate, and you already have a full understanding of what happens when you are going through that difficult time, when you have a sudden vacuum in your life, and what happens when this is in a sense, whether it happens sudden way or something which you anticipate, but nevertheless it's not easy to go through it. And rest aside, like when you are alone, when you don't have a community surrounding you, it becomes even more depressing. It becomes very tragic. Because, like I said, our body, our mind, um, it doesn't know how to process it. We've never, it's not like we have been taught how to do it. No college, no school teaches us, no parent teaches us. Um, so our brain has no memory or no background on how we are going to deal with it. And it is no different than losing a toy. It's a million times more than that, right? So if I lose something, and I can always recover, and I know how to recover, but if you multiply that by a million times, and something which we cannot comprehend. So it is something like that. And how the question always comes up: how do we do? What do we do? And we ourselves ask very natural question: what do we do? How do I handle this? How do I process it? And I was going back to the topic of heartfulness, and how I believe that this would totally change the understanding of the situation for you, and how heartfulness techniques can help this. And we, in fact, there is a beautiful program recently, Heartfulness has come up. It's called Care by Heartfulness. And when we go through difficult time like this, some of the people who are also affected by difficult disease like cancers and other, or even their loved ones are going through difficult experience. It's not always that losing a loved one creates that trauma. The loved one going through the difficult experience can also create a trauma in us. If one of our spouse or loved one or father or mother going through a cancer, or even my mother-in-law had a traumatic experience of autoimmune disease, and she suffered for about 10 to 12 years on the bed, and she had to be treated like a baby every day. She would wake up whole night, wouldn't let anybody sleep. She stayed with us for about a year, and before they had another apartment there. But I've seen it myself, and on my father-in-law and my wife, how they were going through it. Going through the regular job, but also seeing her day in and day out suffering, and not being able to do that. That feeling of helplessness was tremendous. If I would not have been going through meditation, my wife would not have been doing it. It would have been very, very next to impossible to go through it. But understanding this experiences and the impact of experiences, and how these techniques can help us to cope with it and also transcend it is really useful. And and it is a personal journey. It's an individual journey, because what you feel and what you experience, nobody other than you can resonate with, because it's your own personal thing. It's your thing. Um, so it's very important to personalize what you say. We take this as a personal individual journey, and then utilize the tools which I'm going to share with you. And I can assure you that definitely it will make a big difference in your outlook and perspective to what has happened to us, and what, if at all, God forbid, what may happen to any of one of us. So it's important, and it's very, very, very good to do that. The basics of it is how yoga explains the experiences we go through. Like we talked about, Tina, that most of our experiences we process through our body. Okay? In this world, whether we go to meet somebody new and we love them, or we hate them, or we have a good experience or a bad experience, and in the similar, expanded way, if we lose someone, or if somebody, or if our loved one is affected, or the spouse, or and those experiences we connect with it, right? And what yoga says, these experiences creates an impressions, and this create impressions are like an effect of an experience, right? So whether negative or positive, in this case it's affecting, uh, and the effect of those experiences are emotional memories. They are deposited into our bodies, and yoga says they are deposited, and this reside into our bodies. They reside into storehouses of chakras there. And mainly there are 5 chakras into a human body, and in the begin within the chest area, and then there are total 13 chakras through which we transcend our experiences and live the life of balance. So I'm going to share a quick diagram on the screen. So in the process, there you go. So as you can see, on the right side of the slide, there is a chest area which articulates a point 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are the 5 chakras in the chest region, and on the left side are the qualities of those chakras associated with it. And before we go there, I'm just going to give you very high level overview. Maybe in one of those days we'll go through all the details of detailed anatomy of it. But in Heartfulness, the founder of Heartfulness has discovered many other chakras other than those 5 chakras. And so you can see that there are, from 1 to 13, there are 13 different chakras associated, and they represented into our bodies.
Atul, what defines a chakra?
Chakra are the concentrated knots, or the energy centers. in our body. And so when these energy centers are destabilized or unstable, our experience with the world or experiences of transcending is affected. um, so, so as you see that on the left side of the screen, it articulates a heart region, mind region, and the central region. So it is categorized as a three different region. Heart region is the region where all five chakras, which we're going to talk about today, is those five chakras deals with the duality of our life, the dual emotions, emotional experience, the dual qualities of our life. And this is the worldly experiences. And when we transcend the heart region, then it takes us to we progress towards a next region called mind region. A mind region is again, there are from 6 to 12, those majority of the chakras are there. We transcend that and then go and master it, and then go into the central region, which is the highest region. And these are purely discovery of heartfulness founders, or and we progress our journey through it. So coming back to the heart region, the focus for our today's discussion, where um, our experiences has something to do with this five uh, chakras in the heart region. Because when we, in the context of losing our loved ones, or the experiences we feel on into our life. Now if you look at the left side, it talks about, it shows the point 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each of the point is a, in a sense, it's a chakra or the point. They are basically a similar naming convention I'm using. So alternatively, you can use either word chakra or point. But if at point 1 is the chakra or the point where all the emotional experiences or impressions related to worldly affairs uh, are deposited, and it has a quality of emotional quality. When we that chakra is in full balance, we feel or we demonstrate the quality of contentment. And when that chakra is imbalance, we experience the quality opposite quality. It's natural, right? When you are not happy, you are sad, right? Whether you're happy or sad, like I say, it's a world of duality. Either you are this way or this way, because both are possible. So the possibility of intense contentment is there, possibilities of intense negativity or desireful attitude life is there too. Discontentment, so to say. And then instead of this desire, you could just say discontentment, right? So when that chakra is in complete turbulence, is affected, whether because of job or loss of job or worldly thing, a loss of house, or we don't have any security about it, and you're constantly worried about it, then that chakra is in imbalance. Now, if you look at the second chakra, is has to do with our inner calmness. When that chakra is completely balanced, it's you feel intense calmness and peacefulness. And if that is not there, you are restless, you are worried, you cannot have any, you're not feeling anything. And then the color is also associated with it, because you can see when you meditate, you'll be able to identify the color. Some people see the color also, when you meditate. I mean, that chakra is in full balance, they be able to see the color.
I'm seeing all the colors, and I'm thinking when that loved one dies, it's red everywhere. You're desiring something else. You're restless. Your fear, your anger, and confusion. All of those are in that opposite state. Yes.
Exactly. And then if you look at point chakra 3, and you exactly right, that chakra 3 is the fire chakra, fire element, fire of love. And that is the chakra is associated with our relationship. So chakra 3 has more to do with a relationship with our loved ones, or people around us. And when that chakra is affected, we are in complete irritation, affection. We that affects the rest of the chakra too. You know, and fourth chakra 4 is the courage. It has to do with the courage. It's a water point, and it demonstrates the quality of courage when it's perfect balance, and when it's imbalance, we demonstrate the quality of fearfulness. Now, if you look at in this context and use this framework to understand, um, The fifth chakra on all the way in the top, it talks about clarity and confusion. When that chakra is imbalanced, we are in total confusion, in total lack of awareness of what to do. We are in a sense of hallucination. We don't know what's going on. We kind of project things, and because we are fearful. So if you combine this and let things process this experience of loss of loved one, the point three is affected, because that is has to do with the chakra three is affected. When that chakra is affected, we are more and more fearful. And if that effect is intensified, you can notice, you will observe, many of you can vouch for it, that you are also fearful. If it is a worldly thing related concern, or what am I going to do, what's going to happen to my house, what's going to happen to my, how am I going to survive, then point one is affected too. And then point one is fully affected, then point two is affected, because you're restless, your calmness and peace of mind is gone. And when all chakras are in a complete imbalance, your clarity is gone. Point, it affects the chakra five, um, and we are confused, we don't know what to do. So this framework would help us to understand that when we go through it, it's not just affecting one thing, it's affecting the whole experience, whole world, like whole entire what do you call it, four all five chakras and our entire existence, so to say. And so our first primary thing is question we ask, what do we do, how do I do handle it? And with that mind, with the disturbed mind, with the fearful mind, with the restless mind, with the confused mind, um, we don't see things with clarity. We are not able to process it, and especially when we are alone and we don't have any help or community support. We don't have friends or family who can guide us from outside. And in this world, it's hard. So the first priority becomes, how do I balance this, my inner landscape, my inner emotional landscape, and needs to be balanced. And so balance of these chakras becomes very, very paramount for us in that situation, so that we can put ourselves in a balanced emotional state, so that we can figure out the next step to be done, and transcend this experience and make this a fulfilling experience, in the sense that the people whom we loved, the um, whom who has a certain passion in their life, we want to make it a memorable for them, many, and then find a purpose for them. um, the message and the mission they were carrying forward, we can carry that mission to the forward. There are many things we can do, which will come to our heart, to give a tribute to them, and that will be the right tribute to them. They wouldn't certainly want us to be in the turmoil state forever. They wouldn't, but they would want us to have a meaningful, purposeful next step. um, right.
You made the term of making this a gift to them. That seems like such a wonderful way to honor our loved one, to be able to do that.
Correct. And the way I was thinking just before this podcast, that when we lose someone, when we have our loved ones, in this case, my mother-in-law also recently passed away. So, you know, the relationship we had is not like, there's no dead end. It's not like end of the thing. It's always going to be there. They're always going to be part of us. Um, but what they stand for, what they lived for, what was their last wishes, how do we fulfill that? How do we make this our life? At least we are here in this world, so we could do something which they would have wished for, or they would have, we can make the next stage of our life more purposeful, guiding it. I've seen many of the situations where many parents, when they lose their children, or many spouses when they lose their loved ones, they make it a mission for their life, to help others whom they would really would have done it when they were here. um, and that clarity, that confidence, that courage comes slowly, as we when we get when we balance our inner landscape, we and then we transcend it and say, let me do this in the memory of that person who is not with me, but that memory is always going to be there with me. and we want to cherish that positive experiences. We want to keep that with us forever, and then make that our life more and more meaningful, rather than making it continue to reliving that experience of traumatized way, which is our bodily reaction. It has nothing to do with our affection for that person. Our affection and love for that person is always positive, but the body's response to that experience of traumatics and thing, it is comes out of our fight or flight syndrome of our biology. So we it gives us in a sense, this experience gives us or helps us to transcend our love and take it to the next level.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, if so we want to put things in perspective, that the whatever I going through, what am I experiencing of trauma, or negative emotional experience, it is more of my bodily response to survival instinct for fight and flight, where I am trying to my body, my mind, my brain is trying to put things in perspective. Otherwise, if you set aside this, my relationship with my loved ones is more of a positive love one, love, reverence, compassion, and that affection. That is what I need to be reliving. I don't have to relive that experience of trauma. I want to relive that experience, whether that person is physically with me or without me. That is not going to end. Love doesn't have a physical beginning and end. See, many times we live in the binary world, we live in a Newtonian world, so we think that everything has a beginning and end. Relationship has no beginning and no end in that sense. It can on and on. Even then, when we don't have the body, we can still experience that affection. So we want to be into that state, and that gives us an. This is a moment for us to transcend it. Is what I'm saying.
I can totally understand that. Coming to terms with those things is exactly what I'm doing with this podcast and with Widowhood Real Talk with Tina.
Mhm.
I am transcending from that pain of that trauma and now in a place of leveraging those memories, the compassion, my contentment, the calmness, the courage, and the clarity of mind to be able to be here and do this. I like how you said it takes time, and getting to that place of being able to serve our fellow human being is exactly what is taking place in this conversation we're having here, reaching out to people that are in a traumatic state and looking for a way of how to manage this and put themselves back in the order of their landscape. Thank you for
Exactly.
saying that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're doing, and you're a great example of that. That instead of allowing the situation to make you a victim, you are changing the world. You're making that you're dealing, you're processing it in a much more transcendental way, so to say.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
how do we get to do this? This is the goal. How do we get here?
So the practical way of doing it is one is to connect with the trainer or download an app, and focus on the practices of meditation and cleansing. The process of meditation, as you can see, this is a constellation of five chakras, which are heart. That's why it's called heart region. The main in yoga, people are mostly familiar with the heart chakra, but this is a constellation of that same five chakras, um, and therefore we recommend meditating on the heart. Heart is our emotional manager, so to say, that emotion, because and that's why it's called heartfulness. And in every relationship, and especially in this context we're talking about, the highest form of expression in relationship is love. And love has everything to do with, it's a business of heart. um, so when we meditate on the heart, the effect of the meditation, the highest form of expression, the love and compassion which emerges from our heart, is also spreading throughout the body very naturally, because heart is the pumping station for our blood too. So the effect of meditation we naturally spreads. And another reason we meditate is heart is a central force for existence, so to say. Whatever life energy we have, or life force we have, is associated with the heart, right? When the person is dead or alive, we measure it by just saying the heart is moving or stopping, right? So when we meditate on the heart, um, the we are in direct connection with the life energy, and when we are connected with that life and life force, we we automatically, without putting much effort, we are able to notice the balance which is created into our heart. That we don't have to put an effort on one chakra, any specific chakra. That is a geniusness of heartfulness, that we don't have to worry about, because we don't have time to think about all this chakra and how to balance when we are in a difficult situation or in anything. It makes it complicated. So heartfulness is geniusly discovered that it is very, very automatic. All we have to do is to meditate on the heart. And since all the chakras are connected to our heart, they automatically will be balanced. So heart being the seat of love, that's why you see the logo we have, advancing in love. We'll advance in love through meditation on the heart. So the technique is very simple: meditating on the heart and allowing ourselves to be absorbed into love and the light in our heart. And so we recommend to do the morning meditation for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, as much as you can. We begin that. Now your heart is full with love, filled with love. And now every experience, every engagement you're doing, when you, whether out with outside world, now you're having that meditative state with heart full of love, with the balance, and you're able to make the best out of that experience. Now in the evening, we recommend another technique called heartfulness cleansing or cleaning. uh, some people call it detox. This negative emotional impact, emotional memories which are associated with it, onto a landscape. You think of this as a whiteboard which has lots of red, like you talked about. How do you wipe them off and transform this energy into positive and emotional experience, emotional energy, right? So cleansing allows us to do it. We sit comfortably at the end of the day, and we look into our heart and observe what's happening to my heart. How do I feel now? That's the first step in the self-awareness, right? Am I feeling fearful? Am I restless? Am I desire? You don't have to itemize it, but just notice that a lot of heaviness in my heart, so to say, a lot of complexities built up in my heart because one or the other experience, and a lot of impurities and imbalances in my heart. I can feel it, right? Many times we feel suffocated, or when you feel, um, phys- so how do you, what do you do with it? So in our cleansing technique, we remove that. We, with our willpower, with the power of suggestion, we visualize from head to tailbone. We go visualize on backside that all this difficult emotion, negativity, complexities are purged out from my back, from head to tailbone, in the form of smoke and vapor. So first step, we visualize it. We visualize, focus on the visualization, using the power of intention, power of attention, power of suggestion, that all them are leaving me permanently. So we stay on that thought very firmly. We do this, look into our heart and remove it. Now, as you do this, and like I said before, heartfulness is purely an experiential system. You will feel it. You'll experience that sense of relief. When unwanted thing goes away, right? We feel the sense of relief. Yeah. Imagine if we have a constipation and we're not unable to go, how bad we feel, right? But
You made
but
that real plain. Yeah, if you couldn't relate to anything else, we can all relate to that. But the
exactly.
idea of just being self-aware when you were speaking about that piece, oftentimes people want to avoid the pain. They want to avoid the grief.
Hmm.
But avoiding that is making them more constipated.
Yes.
And it's funny you would mention that. I do this thing called Saturday Sit Down, and I actually just talked about the relief of gas and having pressure, but it's still sort of the same thing. You're dealing with the same area.
Yes.
If we cannot run away from this,
No.
and if we try to run away or put on a facade that we're feeling fine and inside all of these things are happening, the
Yep.
body is stressed, and we need to find some way. to be able to be with the reality. I'm having a challenge here. This is
Yes.
hard, and I need to deal with this and get this out, because if not, you're carrying every day of that heaviness every day and never really dealing with that. Thank you.
Right. And I was actually, it's a good point that you reminded me. I was talking to one of my friend a couple of days ago, and we were talking about the same thing, that when we, and again, this has to do more with our biological responses. And this is one of the fundamental reason why we do substance abuse, why we get into the wrong path. When we are going through a negative emotional turbulences, since we don't want to deal with it, or we don't have, for whatever reason, we don't have a way to deal with it, because nobody taught us, nobody teaches us, we don't know how to deal with it. So what do? I need to cope up with it. So my coping mechanism could be drinking alcohol, drugs, or doing any negative things. The reason is, when I do those substances, it produces a chemical called dopamine in my brain. And the good, feel good. And when I do it more, I drink, it feels better, because my brain is releasing chemical. It has nothing to do with my loved ones or anybody else. It is just my brain's releasing chemical as an act of for me, my action of trying to deal with that thing. But is that a healthy way of doing it? Is that the rightful way of doing it? When we become self-aware of our emotion and understand that, yes, I am going through tough time, first is acknowledge that, accept that, yes, this is the hard part of my phase, hard phase of my life. I am going through this. Now I'm going to deal with the healthy way through this, the proper way to do it, the right way to do it. To, like we say in Heartfulness, correct thinking, right understanding, and honest approach to life. Right. So honestly, I want to be honest with myself. Let honor myself and say, yes, this is my need of my body. This is my need of my moment, and I want to do a healthy way. Let's deal. I don't want to do a substance abuse. I don't, this is not the right way to do it. I don't want to hide my emotions and run away with it. Then this technique of heartfulness comes as a blessing, because you are now removing what is unwanted, what negativity, heaviness. It allows more and more love to flourish in your heart. The space in your heart is occupied by all negative emotions. That space is cleared so that now your heart can be an abode of love. Your heart can be filled with love for those whom you have lost and those whom you are going to come in your life too. So life without love, a heart without love, would become, a dungeon.
Wow. So this process not only helps me learn how to manage the loss I've had, but it prepares me and open me up for new people to love, friends and family, or people that may enter my life. Because if it's blocked, I don't have the ability to open up to new relationships.
Exactly. Because if my heart is stuffed with this thing, what about the people I already have? They are still with me. And how I cannot do a justice for them, because I'm not capable of loving. I'm not capable of showing any affection or compassion or even care. Imagine a situation when one of the spouse is gone, and the children are still there with the remaining one. That those children experiencing the trauma, they need support, they need care also. And
That
that
was
would be
definitely my experience. My husband passed. I was in shock and was not really able to, yeah, my children in that same capacity, us trying to figure that out. And we came through that in prayer and family members and different things to be able to come on the other side. But there are often times that we don't, like you said, someone that doesn't have a community. We're in a world where a lot of people are dealing with the death of a loved one, as we're dealing with the global pandemic, COVID, that people are cut off, people are maybe not still connecting with other people. And they're trying to feel about, how do I deal with my loneliness? How do I deal with the loss of this loved one? And they're now becoming shut off and wanting to open their heart up to new experiences and relationship, and not knowing how to get to that. Those are very good points.
Yep, and absolutely, and you've lived it. You have seen with your own personal experience that the children around us, or anyone loved around us, even the parents, if we have around us, they cannot um express it fully sometime because they are little, they have no idea what's happening, you know. So it's our in from that point of view, it's very important for us to get ourselves on the in the healthy proposition there. Yeah.
Thank you. This has been a very good introduction. I know there's so much more to this, but
Yes,
it will probably be our first place to have this conversation and an
absolutely.
introduction for people to think about, is this something that could help them as they're going through a very traumatic time? And now they know that heartfulness exists and how to connect, at least have initial conversation with someone, because what they're doing now may not be working for them and they feel like that they need something else, and this is an opportunity to see how to unstuck yourself from the place that you're at and be able to let your heart be open to more that exists.
Yep,
Any
absolutely.
closing comments or something you want to wrap up in this conversation?
um all I would say, this has been heartfulness has been tremendously powerful, beneficial. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people in my life benefiting from it. I have personally not seen a person who have not felt anything out of the heartfulness practice. And I would request and urge everyone to try it at least for 3 months and see the transformative experience and journey it will take you to, and you will never regret it. I can guarantee you that. And the other thing, what I would recommend is you go out on our website, connect with a personal trainer. If you are in a Virginia area, please do visit us in Richmond, meditate with us, or practice with us. And this would be something, a real gift to yourself, because the emotional experiences and the something which are very personal to each one of us, sometime between husband and wife, what they feel each other within their heart is only they know. So heartfulness is even your children and everybody, right? So heartfulness, this landscape which I was showing you on the screen, deals with that personal experience, and it's very difficult. We don't share this with every day with everybody else, and this will help you to go through your personal spiritual journey also, if you're ready for it in future. So thank
Thank
you so much again. Thank you, Tina, for having me. I loved it, and it was a very good conversation. And yeah, thank you again.
thank you so much. And I thank you also for the offer that we will continue this conversation to another part. I did
Anytime.
hear that part. So I
Yeah,
absolutely
anytime. I'm open for it. Anytime you guys have time on the show, I'll be happy to come. Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for being here for this conversation. The idea of what meditation can do, starting the day in the morning and then resetting yourself in the evening with cleansing, was very informative. I want you to reach out. He's going to provide some information as far as monthly virtual opportunities to be part of meditating, different ways that you can connect right in your own home. You can connect with him and find out about the application to be able to learn about the meditation, balancing your inner self, and learning to have peace and calmness. I am thankful for you to be here with us on this journey. I am sorry for your loved one that has caused you to be here. But my prayer and desire as you are part of this widowhood, that you know that you are not alone and that we are here on this journey with you and want to encourage you to be able to live a life that you enjoy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for spending another episode with Widowhood Real Talk. If you found the contents of today helpful, share the episode to anyone you know who may need it. Subscribe to the show and tune into Widowhood Real Talk each week. Then visit widowhood-realtalkwithtina.org to join the community and access additional resources. Remember, you are not alone in this journey.